Poor food truck girl ignored the millionaire CEO in line until he whispered, "Still remember me?" The night was cold, and the smell of sizzling food filled the air around the small food truck parked near the busy city square. Lines of people waited for their meals, chatting and scrolling on their phones, while behind the counter, a young woman named Clara worked tirelessly. Her hands were red from the heat of the grill, her apron stained, and her eyes heavy with exhaustion. Yet, she forced a smile for every customer. For her, this wasn't just a food truck, it was survival. Clara had once dreamed of studying business and running her own restaurant. But life had been cruel. Her father's illness drained their savings, and after he passed away, Clara dropped out of college to take care of her younger brother. The food truck was all she had left of her father's small dream. She cooked all day, worked until midnight, and barely earned enough to pay rent. Success, luxury, or rest were things she had no time to even imagine. That night, the line outside her truck was longer than usual. As she quickly filled orders, she didn't notice the tall man in a dark tailored coat standing quietly at the end of the line. His shoes were polished, his wristwatch gleamed under the city lights, and everything about him screamed wealth and power. Yet he stood patiently, not rushing, as if waiting for something more than food. When his turn finally came, Clara didn't even look up. "What can I get you?" she asked in her tired but polite tone, scribbling on her notepad. The man didn't answer immediately. Instead, he leaned forward slightly and whispered in a voice she hadn't heard in years, deep, gentle, and achingly familiar. "Still remember me, Clara?" Her hand froze. The pen dropped from her fingers. Slowly, almost unwillingly, she lifted her eyes. And then her heart skipped a beat. The man standing before her wasn't just any customer. It was Adrian. Her Adrian. Years ago, before her father's illness, before her life had collapsed, Clara had known Adrian as a struggling young man who worked odd jobs while dreaming of building something big. They had been close, sharing laughter, late-night talks, and hopes for the future. But when tragedy struck Clara's family, she pulled away, not wanting to burden him with her struggles. She hadn't seen him since. "Adrian," she whispered, her voice trembling. He smiled softly, though his eyes carried a sadness. "Yes. It's me." Clara couldn't process it. The boy who once couldn't afford a bus ticket now stood before her as a man who looked every bit the millionaire CEO she had only read about in business magazines. She had ignored him in the line, thinking he was just another rich stranger, never imagining he was someone from her past. Embarrassed, she looked away. I didn't recognize you. You've changed so much." Adrian studied her with quiet intensity. "And you haven't changed at all. You're still strong. Still fighting." Clara's throat tightened. She wanted to laugh, to cry, to ask 1,000 questions. But the next customer called out, and she had no choice but to return to work. Adrian didn't protest. He ordered the same thing he used to love, a simple grilled cheese and tomato soup, and waited patiently until the line ended. When everyone else was gone, Adrian stayed. He leaned against the truck, sipping his soup, watching Clara clean up. The silence between them was heavy, filled with memories neither dared to speak. Finally, he broke it. "Clara, why didn't you ever call me? Why did you disappear?" Her hands stopped scrubbing the counter. She closed her eyes. "Because I was drowning, Adrian. My father was dying, bills were piling up, and I couldn't breathe. I didn't want you to see me like that. You had your dreams. I didn't want to drag you down." Adrian set down his cup, his voice low but firm. You were never a burden. I wanted to be there for you. I searched for you, but you were gone. Tears stung her eyes. She had always wondered what might have been if she had stayed, if she had let him help. But regret was useless now. She forced a smile and said, well, you made it, Adrian. You became everything you dreamed of. And I'm still here, flipping burgers in a truck. He stepped closer, his presence overwhelming. Clara, don't belittle yourself. You kept your family alive. You built something with your own hands. That's strength, not failure. For a moment, she allowed herself to meet his eyes, and in them, she saw not pity, but admiration. Something stirred in her chest, a flicker of hope she thought she had lost forever. But life was never that simple. The following weeks, Adrian began visiting her truck often. He'd stand in line like everyone else, order the same meal, and linger after closing, talking to Clara and her little brother. Slowly, her guarded heart began to soften. She realized he wasn't there out of charity or guilt. He was there because he still cared. Yet challenges came quickly. Gossip spread about the Millionaire CEO seen with a food truck girl. Adrian's board of directors frowned upon it, warning him that his reputation could suffer. Meanwhile, Clara faced judgment from her own community. People whispered that she was chasing his money, that she didn't belong in his world. Clara wanted to push him away again, afraid that being with her would ruin him. But Adrian refused to let her go this time. One night, as they stood together under the city lights after she closed her truck, he took her hand firmly. Clara, I don't care about the world. I care about you. Do you understand? Money, reputation, success, none of it matters if I can't share it with you. Her eyes filled with tears. But our worlds are so different now, Adrian. You're a CEO, and I'm just. You're not just anything, he interrupted. You're the reason I kept going back then. You believed in me when I had nothing. Now it's my turn. Let me believe in you. Clara broke down, years of pain pouring out in silent tears. And in that moment, she knew he meant every word. Together, they faced the storm. Adrian used his influence not to change her, but to lift her up. He helped her expand her food truck into a small restaurant, not by handing her money, but by guiding her with business advice and support. Clara worked harder than ever, determined to prove she deserved the chance. It wasn't easy. There were setbacks, sleepless nights, and moments when she wanted to quit. But Adrian stood by her, reminding her of her strength. And slowly, brick by brick, she rebuilt the dream she had once lost. Months later, as Clara cut the ribbon on her first little restaurant, with her brother cheering beside her and Adrian's hand tightly holding hers, she realized something profound. Life hadn't been fair, but it had given her a second chance at love, at dreams, at hope. Looking at Adrian, she smiled through her tears. I do remember you. And I'll never forget again. The message was clear: true success isn't about wealth or status, but about never giving up on love, on dreams, and on the people who matter most.